Should you wear shoes or be barefoot when you're drumming? What do you think? We're going to dive into the risk benefit of both of these right now. Hello drummers, my name is Brandon Green. I'm a fitness professional and biomechanics specialist. I love helping drummers like you play longer by being stronger. And I believe that the more we know about anatomy and what's going on inside of our body, the better we are going to do. I had a great question on one of our previous videos about should I be playing drums barefoot or wearing a shoe? And I'm going to give you the Cole's Note answer right now so you can stop watching this video and then we're going to dive into the details. It is 100% up to you and what is more comfortable for you. Simply put. Now, let's break into some of the rationale so we can talk about both of these. Risk benefit. Let's talk about this first. If you wanted to play barefoot, which I think anatomically is actually really, really brilliant, the way I could bring this back to you is, well, why wouldn't you play barefoot? If we were to play barefoot, it's like doing things with our hand, using a pen, using a drumstick. Our hand has all these small joints and skeletal muscle that intrinsically work together to create small harmonious motions so we can actually play the drums and do all these delicate techniques. Our foot is the exact same thing with 30 bones and 55 articulations and all these small joints that are originally intended from an evolutionary perspective, in my opinion, to work together in harmony so you can do really incredible stuff. Climb trees, move around, adjust to uneven terrain, rigid for pushing off, absorbing force. It's fantastic. However, most of us in modern society put one of these things on, a shoe. And what this shoe does, much like a baseball glove on your hand, is it restricts the amount of range of motion in your foot. Now, what's really important to understand is that this shift, right, putting shoes on originally for us years ago was designed to protect the bottom of our feet. It was originally leather, cowhide, put on the bottom of our foot to protect our skin from cuts. As roads started to evolve, shoes started to get more robust, and then we got into this place where now we need more support in our shoes. Here's what's interesting. Imagine you wore a baseball glove on your hand for 30 years, and then you took it off and you tried to do dexterous small things like use a pen. How do you think that would go? It's the same kind of idea with this, is if I'm 35 years old and I haven't been barefoot for 35 years of my life completely, and I spend 60 to 70% of my life in a shoe or a sock, my skeletal muscle in my foot has decreased strength, decreased resilience to sensitivity. It has just been modified over years of my life to not be super, super strong. So this is where the barefoot craze in running and fitness and anywhere else is super important, because I think it's great to build up the dexterity and strength in the bottom of your feet. And if you can tolerate the actual pedal with the skin of your foot and you're using a smooth pedal, absolutely use your feet. You have joints that you will be able to use better barefoot than you'll ever be able to use in a running shoe, even in a minimalist running shoe like the ones that I wear. The only risk is two things. One, on that deconditioned end I just spoke about, you run into the risk of potentially your foot could be so weak, relatively speaking, that you could get plantar fasciitis, fatigue in the muscles in your foot in places you're not familiar with, and without the right progression, which we could talk about that in another episode, you could have some unpleasant sensations. So I wouldn't recommend just jumping into this. The second, which I think is actually much more important, all of the pedals that I've seen have engineered pieces on them. Like I use the DW9000s, they are smooth metal, but they also have ingrained DW9000 on them, which creates a concave convex situation where as you're moving your foot on the pedal, you're scraping against these uneven pieces. The pedal eliminators I had little rubber bits on the bottom. And so this is where you run into the risk of that the pedal is more designed to have something on it like a shoe or a sock than barefoot. And if your skin is not prepared for that, you can get blisters and just get annoying stuff. So I would say choose your own adventure with this. But if you want to go down the barefoot route, there are some benefits if you commit to it, but you have to commit to it. Like Bobby Jozambique, I think that's his last name. He's done a really, really great job of doing that and building up the strength. A lot of benefit there. But I think, and this is what I do personally, I actually wear a minimalist running shoe for every single gig, because these shoes allow my foot to move naturally as possible. These are the New Balance Minimus. There's a lot of other shoes. We've talked about what kind of shoes you should wear. They let my foot move mostly naturally and get all the small articulations out of my foot. So should you be barefoot or wear shoes? Like I said at the very beginning of this, and I don't want to sound soundbitey, it is 100% up to you. If you want to be barefoot, start by playing eighth notes on your hi-hat and some bass drum grooves for 5 minutes and see how it feels. And if you like how it feels, the temperature of the pedal's okay, the material of the pedal's okay, you're not getting fatigue in any weird spots, try and do it for 10 minutes the next day. Maybe 10 minutes for a couple of days in a row and then build up. And what we call in our gym at Strata, micro progress into it. So you can build up the tolerance of the muscles. The risk we really run if you're going to get injured is I don't think it's going to be the ankle muscles, because this talocrural joint that we all use for dorsiflexion, plantar flexion of the bass drum, it's pretty good. We already use that with our shoes. It's all of these smaller, like when we get to the mid-tarsal oblique joints, mid-tarsal longitudinal, the first ray, and all these individual toes, that's where we start running into issues. So one of you asked this, and I thought this would be a great question to go over. If you want to be barefoot, give it a shot. I think using a minimalist shoe is absolutely great. To be honest, every gig I've played, 80% of them, there's been people with alcohol, and it's people with alcohol. There's things on the ground, potentially broken glass and things I don't want to step on. Not always. And so I always like to have something protective on my foot, even though I am an anatomy, use every joint kind of guy. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about this, please leave them below. And I love doing these direct videos to answer your questions. So should you be barefoot? Choose your own adventure. This is Brandon from Drum Mechanics and Strata Internal Performance and Fitness Pro Mentors, and I will see you all real soon.